Yalak here again with another lesson in the New Testament is Fake series. Today's date is April 22nd, 2017. My lesson today is entitled Imbeciles of Belief. We've believed in this Jesus, this Son of God, that the Hebrews were not able to take advantage of because they ran away from Jerusalem quickly after his death, and another people claimed him from that time until now. It is very strange to the thinking mind, the clearly thinking mind, how your God can do such a masterful operation to send his Son, of whom the Messiah believers even today use the New Testament to say, and he is the final revelation of God, because they have this term, Jesus is the final revelation of God. It is difficult for that proper thinking, clear thinking mind to say that the Most High embarks on this masterful, skillful operation and another people takes over what his operation was meant to do, takes over his Son's religion. And the Hebrews who he came to, they had to take off in defeat and run. And note with me that when the Hebrews were chased out of Jerusalem in AD 70, the Romans and the other Gentiles who were left continued with his message and the religion that came out of him and his 12 disciples turned apostles, and did something with it. And it is so powerful, so far-reaching, and spread all over the earth. And even today, you're buying many books to learn about the Bible that these same people wrote. Even if you're a Hebrew, you're still buying some of their books. You're buying Bibles that they printed. They make the profit from it. And you try to buy their books to learn more about the New Testament and more about your Torah. They hijacked all of this and took it over, and you even spend your money based on what they have set up with your Messiah that came. And they were the ones who stayed back in Jerusalem and continued to rule it after you fled in AD 70 in defeat, even though you believed in the same Messiah that gave them the victory that they've got up until today. But the Hebrews who actually fled, they could not turn around and use the same power of Jesus' belief to do the same thing in the parts of Africa that they fled to. But they continued to flee from the Arabs and from everybody as they faced, pretty much, although they had certain victories along the way. But for the most part, they had bad omens, one might say, bad experiences. And they fled into parts of Africa, and are still there to this day, although some of us have been removed because of slavery and come over to the other parts of the world. But when they ran into Africa, they could not do the same mighty works that these Romans and Gentiles in the Roman Empire did with Jesus. So a heathen people, they're able to access the power of God through his Son, Jesus Christ, and extract the power out of him to build a greater empire that you are even scared of now, because you say the Roman Empire didn't really die and it's going to rise up again, and now it's happening. And they're going to take over the world and whatever, and they're going to come and kill you and all kinds of stuff that you want to say. They could extract the power of God out of his Son Jesus, even though they are thieves, to extract that power out of him, seeing that the power wasn't meant for them. But you, the actual Hebrew who Jesus said he came to, I came to my own, they received me not, you cannot run into Africa and extract that same power that was meant for you. You can't extract that power out of God through Jesus. And you are the Israelite. So that it cannot be shown anywhere in Africa that you did all kinds of spectacular and wonderful things long term with the power of God, raising the dead, healing the sick, becoming your own apostles in such a magnificent way that these other people did. You see that? Imbeciles of belief. They set up something that they wanted you to believe about the so-called Messiah. And because it was their plan, they have the power with it that they're running in the world now, and probably 2.1 or slightly more billion people on the earth are Christians with this Jesus belief, and other people believe in him who are not Christians. who are in other people groups, or who just don't name themselves or identify themselves with any religion, but believe in him. But the Hebrews who say this Jesus is their Messiah from Judah, they could not go into Africa and do these same mighty acts and become a powerful force in the earth. And you're going to tell me it's because of the curses. But people, these Gentiles, who didn't have your kind of curses, because the Creator wasn't dealing with them in no special way to even bother with giving them such a curse, but their curse is going to come later when we're being restored. But I mean, can you see what I'm saying here? That something is really odd about this? Just think for yourself, people. Think properly and carefully with the mind the Creator gave you. And stop just simply believing because something is popular, or because it was taught to you when you were a child, or because it was taught to you when you found out you were an Israelite. Belief is one of the greatest problems in the world. Although we must believe something. The problem is what we believe. Not enough of us want our belief to make common sense. Even the Israelites, because you're going to say, yeah, but there are black people running churches and camps and so on in Africa. Yes, and did you bother to do the rest of the history, like I've given you some history in this series, time and time again? That the same Roman government sent their Roman army to different parts in Africa to take over the bishops and the general church leaders in different parts of Africa, bought them out with gold, or however else they did it, infiltrated them, took them down if they didn't want to accept the gold and to sell out to Rome, and took over their churches. The Israelites could not do anything with this Jesus to make a difference. Now, if you ran into Africa, although there were some Hamas that were running churches too and that they took over, but for the Israelites, if you ran into Africa with your Jesus and you left back some Romans and Gentiles in your land that capitalized on your Messiah, why couldn't you do the same over in Africa? When they came to Africa to take you down, they should have had a much bigger fight to take over your churches, because you got the same power as they did in their Jerusalem churches and in their Roman churches. So now if they got power to build themselves in their churches in these Roman territories, and they come over to Africa and find you having your own churches that you're running with the same Messiah, how could they take you over? Because if the power works for them, shouldn't it more work for you, because it is the power of God through Jesus, so that you would overcome them, because the power was meant for you anyway, and they only got the crumbs that fell to the dogs that they used to build up such a great empire. So why is it that you've got the food on the table, but you allow them to take you over? Imbeciles of belief. They just wanted you dumb from ancient times. That's what they've done to all of us. I'm going to do another lesson on that, about belief in ancient times.